enjoyed it. So now we are going to have an interactive session. But we'll start with the panel discussion, then bring in other stakeholders later. So I'll introduce the panelists for the day. From UNICEF, we have Madame Hilda Mensah. And from Ministry of Gender and Children Protection, Mrs. Florence Aisikote, Acting Director, Department of Children. The only man in the Lord, Mr. Emmanuel Arthur Ramses. I'm sure those of you who've been following COP activities online would have encountered him. He does a lot of training in this regard. Welcome. Next person is my own sister, Asma Ayu, from Rawuya Foundation. That's from the CSO angle. We try to have a multi-stakeholder approach to this. Thank you all. And my name is Laratu Musasaka. I'll be moderating the session. Thank you. Okay, so welcome. You have your microphones by your name tag. So, because of the era we find ourselves in, we are not sharing microphones. So we want to make this as interactive as possible and as realistic as possible, because there's a lot of information out there. We talk a lot about child online protection. That's basically making sure that children are safe online and also protected. And the main, yesterday when we had the interaction with the children, it was obvious that supervision and parents showing key interest in this aspect was the most important bit of this whole intervention. So to set the ball rolling, I'd like to pick your minds on this whole aspect of COP with relation to what parents can do. I'll start with you, Madam Hilda.
Thank you. I think a lot of the previous speakers have done a lot of justice in terms of what parents can do. To begin with, it's important that we remember that we are the gatekeepers. We are the ones that the children listen to, and we make a lot of influence on their lives. And so what can we do? What we can do is to ensure that the purpose for which our children are using their devices, first and foremost, are adhered to. And so now that most schools are at home, one of the primary focus is for you to ensure that the children are using whatever devices they have to learn, to study, to better their knowledge and their skills. That's the first and foremost primary objective of you allowing your child to use any device at home for. And then we need to also supervise. What time are they supposed to be using the internet? Or what time are they supposed to even be having access to the device? Those times must be clearly spelled out so that the child is aware that from 8 a.m. to 12 noon, I have the right to be learning and to be using the device. And then we as parents also to say we have to monitor. So if their children are supposed to be in Zoom class from 8 to 12 noon, you have to put a mechanism in place to ensure that they are really in the Zoom class learning. Let me stop here.
Thank you. Madam Florence, I think we just do it in the order you're sitting for now. Then when we go into the discussion, it can be.
Thank you very much, and a good afternoon to everyone once again. With involving parents in cybersecurity, sometimes we have the tendency of trying to separate these two worlds, that cyber is different from this one that we are in. And in the statement that I made, I tried to bring our attention to the fact that it's just an extension of ourselves in a different dimension. So if you're a parent, then it means that that dimension is something that you must take part in. You cannot afford not to parent your children there, because it's a continuous process that now, by age 4 is even too old. Because I've seen a child being carried at the back of the mother who knows exactly where to press on the tablet to go for Candy Crush. He knows exactly where to press, go for Candy Crush and start playing. When he's tired, he'll close it and go for Subway Surfer and start playing. And at that age, I just wondered how he's able to do it. He knows the exact music he wants and where they are. Know how to skip music he doesn't like. A 2-year-old boy who doesn't like to hear gospel. He always likes to listen to Shatawale. And I was just surprised. And so I'm asking myself, the way he's able to flip like that and flip like that, and what is saving the mother is because the tablet is not connected to the internet. So imagine it's a tablet that connects to the internet. What can he access at that age? And what does he know at that age? And that's what we need to think of as parents, that as we allow children to have access to these devices, the protection must start from the age that you are allowing them. Because if your child is savvy and starts using the tablet maybe around 2 or 3 years, then definitely you know that whatever tablet you give to that child shouldn't be connected to the internet. Because when they are scrolling through and things like that, sometimes you put them down, you are not there. And whatever they are seeing, understanding and processing may not make sense at that point. So age appropriately, you just have to know that now, as at this age, is accessing the internet. Then we need to talk about cyber hygiene. We need to talk about being smart. Because if you're not able to do that, then you leave your child to suffer when one day something happened to them. That time is so late and there's nothing that you can do. So you just have to be involved right from the start and grow with them as they expand their use of the internet.
Sure, thank you.
So, hello. Hello. All right. So, I want to start by saying that the internet happens to be a platform that gives a lot of opportunities to young people, better than what we had when we were growing up. It's big because it actually has a platform that allowed them to have resources for education, for entertainment, for collaboration that we didn't have. Now, the same resource available to us is also available to anybody out there as a cyber criminal. Now, what I've realized in my work as somebody who talks to parents is that anytime a child is attacked, the child will be giving signals to the parents, but 3 things are happening. Parents are not listening, they are not watching, and they are not also feeling. Okay, there are so many changes happening in our homes. Parents are not looking at it. And the reason is this. Most of us see our children as the god of technology in our home. And the moment your child becomes the god of technology in your home, you have lost him, in my experience. Your child is savvy because they are digital natives. They were born into that world. They understand the world better than you do. It does not make them gods because they need your collaboration to fight the battles in the cyberspace. And that is why I think that it's critical for parents to start understanding the dynamics within parenting in the 21st century, as against the copy and paste parenting our fathers did. They were not having issues because whatever their mothers did to them, they can do the same thing to their children. Our times are different because the times are changing rapidly and different from what we encounter. And that's the reason why I think that parents should be interested in navigating the platform with their children. So I'll introduce.
Hold that thought there. I'll come back to you.
Yeah, so I think I want to look at this from another angle of the parents that are probably not here. So parents in the rural, urban communities and parents in the villages. Because a lot of the time, their kids are exposed to the internet and they have no idea. Perhaps they don't even understand or speak English. So and they have a lot of challenges because when we interact with the grassroots level, they always ask, what can I do? So what they would usually be able to do to help that you and I could carry the message across is really having a trusted person, whether it is a family or a friend, but somebody, an adult who they can trust, who is exposed to the internet, who can serve as the supervisor role for their children as they're exposed to the internet. So this is very critical because if you and I could are aware today that we need to do a lot of supervision, which has been said and cannot be overemphasized, what can such parents do? Because even if they are looking, they have no idea what is happening on the computer or on the tablet or the phones that their kids are exposed to. So it's just to add up to say that they could also have another person that can serve as the supervisory role for them.
Thank you. I'll come back to you, Mr. Arthur. Over 1.5 billion children globally are out of school. Schools, parents, other institutions are resorting to online engagement, online school e-learning and all that. Parents are resorting to smart toys and all that to keep their wards busy. How safe is this? And what can parents do to ensure that with all these wonderful interventions, because of the era we find ourselves in, children can still get what they can get from it and still be safe whilst using these interventions?
Okay, so let me take it from this angle. A loaded gun, okay, it's a mere toy. It's a stick. But the day that gun is triggered, it ceases to be a toy. That's number one. Number two is that a car on a motorway going 150 kilometers per hour without a brake, whoever is driving it is a dead man waiting. All right. And that is the fundamental thing I wanted to say. Anytime you give a device to a child, you have introduced a digital highway or you have given a gun that is loaded, especially if the device is connected to the internet. Now, that means that when the child is holding that device, the child should be trained to know when to trigger and what not to trigger, because he can kill himself without devices. And we know people are actually causing self-harm and all of that with those devices. So that's number one. Number two is that anytime, any device you hold in your hand, the mechanism in there to cause what we call parental control in any device you're having, whether it's a phone or a tablet or a PC, the manufacturers have actually embedded an actor in there to protect whoever is using it. Now, everybody who is actually running those platforms wants you to use the default features. What it means is that it doesn't want you to activate those privacy settings. So normal device comes with a lot of openness because they want you to connect it and use the device more times. So I think the parents should ask questions, how we can activate those parental controls. So let me give you an example. your child is home and is using Zoom platform for school, and most of you, maybe the child is in the care of a house girl or a house boy, you are at work. How will I be able to know what my child is doing if they are actually doing the Zoom classes or something? So Google introduced a tool, called Google Family Link, that allow you to install it on your child device and have a version of it on your own device, and then monitor remotely in real time what your child is doing on the device. That is, so you can actually be at work and then set the time the child should be on the platform for 2 hours. After the Zoom meeting, he's blocked out of the platform. So there are tools available. Normal things like if even your Android application, I see many parents who are driving your cars and your child is bored. You drop the phone to them for them to use to play computer games, and they can go so many places. Even the Android device. There are simple parental control architecture here that you can activate to make sure if the child is actually trying to even open an app that is 80 years rated, when the child is maybe about 6 years, he will not be able to do it unless he forgot that password. So there are a number of tools available for your kids, but you have to take your time as a parent, whether by support of somebody or yourself, to go to the privacy setting to restrict what they can't use and what they can use. And that's the first step you have to take. Okay, so I'll come to the second leg. The second leg is that when we come to the digital space, I realized that from the UNICEF report that Auntie Joyce was talking about, there was something that was intriguing. They said 20% of the children that were contacted or were surveyed said that they reported their issues to their parents. 20%. What if that all internet users in Ghana, 80% of them don't talk to their parents? That's number one. So what happens at home that will make somebody who has issue online will not go to the first point with the parents? What happens normally is that when you see a groomer online, somebody wants to groom your child to become a pedophile, groom your child to become anything, what he will do first is to block or destroy the relationship between the child and the trusted adult. That's what they do. Everybody, whether you are grooming to become a porn addict or sexting or sextortion, the first thing any cyber criminal will do is make sure that whoever you trust, he creates a fear between that child and whoever they trust. So there's a lot of work parents must do in terms of building a relationship that when the child is hit and they come back, the reaction of the parent, some parents cannot even stand it, like your child has actually shared a nude picture out there and it's on social media. How will you really relate to the child? Like, how will you deal with the issue? The way you will handle it will tell the person, okay, next time I can come home or I can go somewhere else. And that is where we can actually take it from the 2 points that we
Okay. Thank you very much. Before I go, Asma, I'll come with what Mr. Arthur said. It goes into the psychological aspect of all these things. But I want you to base your submission on, does technology have a strong educational foundation? And does it encourage creativity?
Well, yes, it does encourage creativity. As much as we're talking about the negative effects that it has, it does encourage. I'm looking at my own children. In recent time that I had to allow them have a tablet because I never did. If they needed anything to do with the research, they always use a centralized computer where they have access to the internet and I'm right behind or their father is right behind. But in recent times, they had to turn all their activities via Zoom and such. So they were exposed to that. And what I noticed was that as much as I was putting all the controls that I could within my limits, they were learning new things because they would share to me, Mommy, have you seen this before? Like new things with regards to artwork. Teachers were sending YouTube videos, and before they watch the video, I'll first of all have to watch that video and make sure that the content was okay, even though I trusted the teachers, but I needed to do a second look at it. So there was a lot more they were doing, and I saw their passion, especially the elders, started to have passion and interest in coding out of just hearing about it, seeing about it during lessons. So yes, it does expose them, but it's important. As much as it opens up their creativity, it would also have some negative implications to it because you want to be sure what you want your child to do. You are grooming your child, so you want to be very vigilant in whatever creativity, whatever you are allowing them to, because as children, they are very curious. They are open to learning any and everything that they are exposed to. We always say in the local language, they are just like monkey watch, monkey do. So as much as you allow them the exposure, then they are definitely going to consume that information. So yes, as much as we want them to be open and be creative to learn and understand, we need to keep the limits to which environment we expose them to.
Thank you. Madam Joyce. Sorry, Madam Florence. Most parents, you keep hearing most parents say, I was born before computer. I don't understand how these things work. And you also move with the cohort that we deal with as children. Even though the higher bracket, that's those in the teen bracket, don't want to be called children, they want to be called young people. How do you talk to these teenagers? Because most of the complaints that come through the point of contact is usually within that age bracket, the teen age. Recently, there was a 14-year-old who had been interacting with someone on Facebook, and it got to a point where the person asked for a nude picture, and he thought he was being smart. He sent the nude picture without his head, sent it to the person, forgetting that he's giving a lot of information to this person. And this person, who happens to be, he was thinking was his age mate, happens to be someone way older than him, now goes further, digs with the information he's giving him, gets his real picture, cuts off the head and puts it on this nude picture, and is now using it to extort money from him. So for these teenagers, how do we talk to them about spending so much time on the internet and how they should manage it?
Thank you very much, Madam Moderator. Such things, you just don't know what to say and know what to think. Maybe I'll borrow Lewin's word. I can't think far. Because I keep on asking whether maybe we are not expanding with our message the way we're supposed to do, or we know if you be a mensa, no matter what you do, some people would like to try and see what will happen. But the analogy I always use is that you will not ever get out of your house and stand naked on the street. You will not do that. Everybody will think you are going mad. You take 1 or 2 steps, somebody will just grab you and put in a taxi and take you to asylum. But I don't know why we feel comfortable to do that on the internet. And that's what normally we meet girls, we tell them, things you will not do, any picture that you post, that when your mother sees will not like it, then you know it's bad picture. Don't even post it. And don't even take it for you to have even a record of it on your memory card. Because people have things they can do with memory card and recover some things that you have deleted. So things that you will not do physically, don't do on the internet. And that's what I think we should let our girls know. And it also always boils down to an interest by parents in what our children are doing. No matter what, that's the characteristics of the girls who are girls and boys who are taken advantage of. You will see a common denominator among them. Either nobody is paying attention to them one bit in the real world. Mothers don't have time, fathers don't have time, or sometimes they even lack this supporting system that's available. And therefore, when they are able to get somebody online who gives them this attention, then all these things happen. So encouraging mothers and fathers to get closer to the adolescent, because that age, we know is a very critical age. As for that age, nobody can really talk about it unless you yourself, you experience it, so you remember how it is. It's an age where things doesn't really, you are discovering yourself who you are. And you always want validation. And that's why they need friends. They need so many people to tell them, you are beautiful, you are handsome, because then they feel confident and know who they are. And it's the same kind of attitude we want parents to really know and understand that at this age, adolescents, your boys and girls need special attention. And that attention is not only in the physical world, but giving them an indication that the world out there on the internet is not as safe as they think. Because through your pictures and where people can trace you and get back to you. So I would just encourage that let's get closer to our girls, get closer to our boys, and then of course expand our message. Maybe that's where we need to do more. We need to expand our message and then let people know. I'm glad that we have put all these things online now. They are all available every day for anybody to watch. So when you go home and you're going through your lesson, just go to the video today, share it on your platform, share it with your friends, let them read, show it to your child, let them also understand all these things that we are talking about, because we are not that many in the system doing this education. And since this year is everywhere on YouTube and everywhere, let's share it, let our young people get to it and spread the message that online is not as safe as we think. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Sure.
Hello. Okay, so I think one of the big issues I've actually come across is what we call the social validation or social currency. You realize that the business module of Facebook, we call it the Zuckerberg model in digital marketing, is about engagement. All right, so whenever you put anything on Facebook, earlier on, like in 2003, 2013, 14 upwards, everybody who is on your friends list will see the picture. All right, now, because of advertisement, that's bringing a lot of money. They are now killing what we call organic. Organic means that once you put something there, it's not automatic, everybody will see it. Now, Facebook is saying that your content will become viral, will be seen by many people if it's not boring. Boring means that it should be engaged. And what does it mean? Engage means that people should like, people should comment, and people should share. So if I put a picture there on Facebook, the Facebook algorithm will give it to 10 people, sample 10 people, my friends, and look at their reaction toward that particular content. So if they like, if they comment, if they share, it means that content is entertaining enough to maintain many Facebook users to stay there. What they'll do, the algorithm then pushes the thing up to several people so that they will start liking and commenting and all of that. Now, by that architecture, it means that if you are very normal, you are boring. If you take a normal picture, nobody will like it. If you do anything that is so normal, people say, oh, okay, they will not like it. And when they are not liking it, they are going to automatically start hiding that thing from many people. Now, what is the other leg? The other leg is that young people want to be validated. So if I put a picture here and I come by 100 likes and 200 comments, it makes me feel good. And it's not even young people. I've seen pastors that told me that I put a preaching there and nobody was liking it, and I was sad. Pastors. So everybody wants that engagement, and young people want it. That is why when there is competition, what we call the social media challenge, every young person gets involved. Sometimes they get involved to the point of killing themselves. Because there is the need in every young person to be validated with a currency, which is social. They want people to say you are beautiful. They want people to say you are handsome. People to say you are creative. And when they are getting those things, they will do everything to make sure that thing happens. And Facebook is saying that for me to show this picture to many other people, then do things that will make people comment. So if it's crazy, if I will bring my cleavage up and make more guys like it, then that means I could go up. If I have to bring my bombs outside and do that, then that will make people like it. And that is the reason why most young people will even be aggressively doing crazy things online. Their parents get shocked because of the currency they are looking for. And that's one of the... So parents should do what? Parents should start validating them, as Mom was saying, more at that age than before.
Yeah, that emphasizes the aspect of what Madam Florence was saying about children doing this, not getting attention, the attention that they deserve from their parents and guardians. Madam Hilda, in our normal setting, when a child gets to puberty, now it's even earlier, some are going through it at 9 years and all that. You are taught how to keep yourself. If it's a female, if it's a guy, you are told your voice will break and all those things. Now we find ourselves in an era where we are talking about cyber hygiene. At what age do you think we should be talking to our children about these things?
Thank you very much. So you rightly said that children are hitting puberty very much earlier. And there's an interesting thing I always think about. Growing up, back in the days when a young boy is in love with a girl, and when we didn't have mobile phones, they will come around the neighborhood and throw a stone on top of the roof. And then when you hear the roof crack or some noise, you know that your boyfriend is around. And then you sneak out. But foolishly, you thought that when the stone hit the roof, you were the only one who heard it, and your mother and anybody else under the roof didn't hear it. But at least it was good because parents who also heard the same sound, knowing what that is likely to be, they monitor your movement around the room. And so if you went out, I'm alcohol. That's the first reaction. And then you are compelled to stop. Sometimes the boy may even hang in there and probably never see you because you're also waiting to see when your parents' eyes will be off before you can sneak out. But now, with WhatsApp, all of you are having a conversation and somebody sneaks out quietly. And that's how dangerous it is. And so that also means that we must begin the conversation around sex very early on, especially immediately they hit puberty. And sometimes they don't even have to hit puberty because some of the children have become so matured very early on. I remember I was watching a movie, a Nigerian movie, and my 6-year-old daughter was with me. So they were kissing, and I immediately changed the channel. And then she said, "Mom, why did you change it?" I said, "They were being naughty." Sorry. I said, "They were being naughty." She said, "Is kissing being naughty?" And so, like Joyce said, immediately I didn't know what to say. Because then I called a friend and said, the next day I said, "Look at what he was asking." I didn't know what to say. I said, but that was the opportunity to begin to have a conversation. Because at least I didn't say kissing. I said they were being naughty. She said, "It's kissing naughty." Which means at least she understood what kissing is, right? So then, once you see that that child is matured, we need to start a conversation. Okay. So I could have gone around it differently. That kissing is not bad. It wasn't naughty. But it was done only by adults or at appropriate age. But I swear, and the reality comes back to me and say that I need to start that conversation. And so once we notice that the children are matured, we need to begin to have conversations. Now the point is that even as adults in love, we are being silly sometimes by sending our nude pictures to our adult lovers as adults. And some other married couples also sometimes are a bit silly because of the nude pictures that we see that they post to each other. And so the starting point will be us. We need to understand what we want to use the internet for as adults. And we also need to understand the risks that are there. So that our children who are growing up as who have hit puberty, or once we notice that they are becoming matured, we need to be able to explain to them what can happen online and the risks that are associated with it. So that we should scare them enough. Now, let me also scare you a bit. In Ghana, we don't even have on top of our fingers the quantum of persons or the number of people who are trafficked in a year. So, but trafficking is happening. And people are being trafficked into prostitution. So, I recently had a neighbor who came to tell me she was so excited. Her daughter was going to Malta. I would not even have thought about that country. Malta. I mean, what on earth is your daughter going to do there? So some friends contacted her that there was a travel agency that was recruiting young girls who wanted to go abroad to Malta. And so she went to Malta. And the news we heard later was not a very pleasant one. But you see, it happened because there was news on the social media that a travel and tour company was recruiting. And sometimes even the media also even advertises it. There are a lot of risk that is being posed to our children. When they get to those places, they are forced into prostitution against their will. And often, they are clueless that that is what will happen to them. And so we put them into danger if we do not understand the risk and the repercussions that it can bring to them. So once we understand, in our conversation with them about sex, and let me also use this opportunity to say it, if my boss was here, you would have said it. We need to move away from using the word child pornography. There's nothing like that. Because pornography actually is legal in some countries, all right? So immediately something is legal, and you say a child pornography, it's almost to say there's a legal aspect of it which also entertains children in that kind of industry. There's nothing like that. What we are seeing online is child sexual exploitation and abuse material. And that's the kind of language we must begin to use so that we begin to feel the impact of how badly it's affecting our children. So we have people who know that children are very vulnerable. They use them, film them, and post them on the media. And so like one of the speakers said, you like, you share, you comment. And there are people, pedophiles, who only are also interested in child sexual abuse material. It's unpardonable. And those kinds of things, we need to have a conversation around it. Let our children see how dangerous it is. The point is, these things happen to them at the time that they are so innocent. They will grow up and realize that we as adults in our age did not protect them enough, and they will not forgive us. And that's the more reason why we must begin to talk about it. And that's the more reason why you should tell them they cannot accept an invitation from someone they don't know, because the person is likely to abuse them and ruin their lives forever. So that early conversation must be real and must start now.
Thank you. Yeah, sure.
So just to come in briefly and then reiterate Mr. Atta's issue of validating. It's innate with every human being that every human being wants to feel validated and loved and cared for. But this is even more deeper the younger you are. It is not just food and water that are basic needs. Love and care is basic need. And so as young as children are, every child comes with an emotional tank. And that emotional tank is empty to start with, just like their brains are empty. So that tank needs to be filled by the adults in their life, whether it is the parent, the caregivers, or whoever they are, the siblings. Everybody has to fill up that tank. Now, the problem we find is when children grow with an empty emotional tank, they look for that validation that they should have gotten from home, because this also supports their well-being and supports their confidence. So they grow with a high self-esteem. When they lose that opportunity, they now look out for it elsewhere on social media. Now, one other important thing is to note that we consume social media, or we sell out, literally, not perhaps sell for money, but then you either give out information or you consume information. And recently, research has proven the more you consume, the more tendency to be depressed. And so social media issue is now linked to how we use social media and spend hours out there, is linked to certain mental health conditions. And it's very possible, it's very frequent in children. We see a lot of young people suffering from depression and anxiety and panic attacks. And these are all results of how much hours they spend out there consuming social media that they are unable to interpret into the reality of life. So critically, parents is very important. Recently, in an engagement we had with parents, there was a parent that swore, and she literally was crying, that she has never hugged her children. And because she felt it wasn't traditionally okay, she felt it wasn't okay to express love, that kind of love. And she said to me, this will be the first time I'm going home and I'm going to hug my children. And she had to make that confession. It was all teary for her. Now, if we have this, and I believe we have a lot of similar parents, and maybe some of us may even be it. Now, you don't hug your child, you don't give kisses to your child, and somebody out there on social media is saying, sending you hugs, blowing you kisses. They are curious. You wonder, why is somebody sending me hugs? That sounds interesting. Now, this message, the brain interprets it and is going straight into the heart. It clicks a button, and the feeling is so great because the positive or the happy hormone is released. And the child feels like, whoa, why am I feeling differently? So they look out for, who is this stranger? And they want to meet up. If the stranger says, I'm meeting you up, they are ready and they're excited to meet up. So again, as parents, it's important we really do pay attention to the needs of our children, not just food and water, their emotional need, especially in the crisis of social media and all the negative effects we are having on them. It's important we fill up their emotional tank and make sure they build confidence, so when they're on social media, whatever is being said to them, they have seen and heard 1,000+ of it from home. Mommy and daddy loves them, their siblings loves them, they blow them kisses all the time. So what they see out there really shouldn't mean much to them.
Thank you. As I said,
Sure. Then that kisses from strangers are not acceptable. So that they know that when somebody starts blowing those things, a sign that that person needs to be blocked on their social media account. Because somebody who doesn't know you is not supposed to be blowing you kisses and things like that. Because that's the sign that you need to go out of my friends. You need to go out, because I don't like that from you. I don't need that from you. So if they are sure of who is supposed to give the kisses and hugs, then they know that if the person does it, it's not cool. And therefore, they can say that you need to block the person and show them how to block people and show them how to report people. Because some people can harass you on the internet. Because if you do that, I know, so I just report you that you are harassing me. Because the things to select are there. And if you and let people also understand, if you post and nobody like, it didn't mean people didn't look at it too. It didn't mean, a lot of people look at things, they don't say anything. Some of my friends, they will say, oh, madam, we are following you. I say, well, I don't see you. So it tells you that people are looking without saying like or laugh. It doesn't mean, after all, did you put it there for them? You just wanted to record something about yourself, and you have put it there. It's for you. So that one day to remind you, 10 years ago, look at how I've grown. You yourself, you are happy. You don't need somebody to tell you that you have grown. Be sure. Let them understand that they need to be confident in themselves. If you are beautiful, you don't need somebody to tell you. And we don't tell them enough. We don't tell them enough. So that's why they are there looking for. Because I just can't understand why you take her and go to Somenya and go and meet a boy. And then you are standing by the tree. You told the boy that I'm coming. The boy said, I'm wearing the yellow. Then you look at the boy and say, Madam, then I came by. He was ugly. So if he was beautiful, does it mean that you would have stayed? Or handsome, does it mean that you have stayed? And the mother had no idea that this girl took her from Accra to go to Somenya to go and meet somebody. Can you imagine? If she has been kidnapped, we will never look for her in Somenya. We'll be looking for her in Accra. So please, be friends, talk to them. There's danger out there. Now the children are getting missing. And we don't know how to search for them. Because now you think they are in Accra. They've gone to Kumasi to go and meet somebody. And it's a problem. So mothers, parents, we are always saying mothers because sometimes our fathers just don't want to be friends with us. That's why we are our mothers. It's not because we don't think fathers are important. But they also trust you more. So be their friends and let them know. So PTA meetings, let's discuss these things. Let it be on the agenda. It shouldn't be let it be, because now it's there. Nobody will employ anybody if they don't know how to use at least Word and all the things that are associated with it. What are you going to do at the office? Because everybody wants somebody who will help them bring smart solutions to the company. Therefore, as for the internet and things, they need to know. But knowing the right thing to do at the right time is something that we should never forget to tell them. And every day is an opportunity to teach them something new. I don't want to say let's wait for puberty. That's why I was just start, because the boy I knew, that boy, 2 years he was playing games. So by this time, you know he'll be doing right now. I know he's downloading things. So he needs to know. Thank you.
This boy really made an impression on you. Well, you know, on the face of it, it sounds funny. It doesn't look scary. But when you ponder over these things, we are living in a world where we see development. We see the world expanding. But digitally, it's smaller than we think. So we really need to look at it. As I said, there's going to be an interactive session. So at this point, I want to bring you in. Anybody who has a question, has something to add, because it's not a lecture. It's for us to share knowledge so we can improve on what we are doing. So at this point, please, if you have something to add. Madam Ivy? Abigail? Madam Ivy? Abigail has a mic. No. There's no mic there. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Those of us who teach the children, are worried about this trend of parents driving their children out of the house to go fend for themselves and even bring money home. It's happening all over the country. The child is 13 years, 12 years. Even in Accra, you get it. The mother says, whatever. My guy is not good. If I don't cook, you don't eat. Your friends are going and bringing money, and you have to eat what I cook. So our children are forced to look after themselves. When we did monitoring for BEC, we had many of them who came back to write pregnant. In fact, they were made pregnant. I don't like saying that they got pregnant. Somebody made them pregnant. So they were made pregnant. And when we interview some of them, they are on their own. They are looking after themselves. So my question is, how do we, as teachers, collaborate with cybersecurity to tell these parents that in driving your children out, you're exposing them to pedophiles, to abusers who will use this gadget called the phone to entice them? If I'm not mistaken, the Takrady girls got lost. I think when investigations were going on, there was something about phone. I'm not sure how the story went. But let's collaborate to educate such parents. Most of them are in the urban and peri-urban areas who drive out their children to go look for, to sustain themselves and, if possible, the family. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Ivy. Anyone wants to take this one? Okay, Asma.
Okay, so I'll come in because of my work as a school counselor in the last 9 years and working with parents and teachers and other institutions to promote safe space for children. Now, with this issue, it's a very dicey issue because for majority of such parents, what is driving them is high rate of poverty. And you cannot just say, see, don't do this, I'm going to report you to the police, or I'm reporting to DOFSU, this is an abuse on the child, and blah, blah, blah. And when that happens, the parent will just withdraw the child. I'll share an experience that I had working in one of the regions where farming was very predominant. So during the farming season, the parent will stop all the children. They will literally pull them out of classroom because the children would have to be on the farm with them to help them. And we had to come in to see how we can develop an intervention to support these children. What we try to do is to create positive image for the parent to envision the future of the children. So we ask the parent, what do you wish to see in your child in the next 5 years, 10 years? What do you want in this child? And every single parent was envisioning the beauty of, I want my child to be this. Some say I want them to be wearing high heel, literally meaning in the banks and in the corporate environment. Others said, I want my child to be wearing, all sort of beautiful things. Then we connect them to the reality. Okay, what are you doing now as a parent that is going to give the same future that you just mentioned for that child? Then there is a pause. So usually there'll be a break. Now that short break is a conscientization period. That's what we call it. Because the parent is now asking, whoa, I think I'm making an error here. They are starting to see their own problem. So we don't go in saying you're wrong as a parent. No, it then brings a rebellious response. So you get nothing at the end of the day. Then they start to ask. So within that pause, we give them a short break. Then we start to ask, okay, now you and I, as a guardian of your child, you as a parent, let's work as a team. And then let's bring your child in. So working as a team is, we all agree, this is the future we want for this child. Now, are we doing the right thing? Well, there's a lot of no. So how do we correct the errors that we are doing at the moment? So that brings us to a dialogue positioning of speaking about what we are doing now that is going to affect that future. And then we bring the child in. What can we do? There is always an alternative. So it's to expose such parents to what other healthy alternative exists for your child. I'm not speaking about those out of the Venn diagram, the extreme end, because there are children, parents, and guardians, unfortunately, that I say they don't even deserve that title because they literally don't care. Like they are living in a hard-knot world. They don't care what is going on with the child. These are parents who are able to give out the child and take money from other people. I'm not referring to such. I'm referring to parents who have conscience and who you are able to bring into board. And this forms the majority part of it. For those outside, the law is there to deal with such parents. You can literally just report such parents so the law can deal with them. But for those that can really reflect with you is to really engage them at a dialogue level so that they are able to come up with a better intervention.
Thank you. Yeah. Anyone else?
Yes, please. Mimuna to Yusuf. Your second question, I heard you have to trust the children should talk to, if they don't talk to their parents, they should talk to those who they trust. Please, mine is not a question, but I want to add, majority of the parents, they are into corporate world. When they go to work, they don't even see the children till they come back. And secondly, we the teachers, we are their second parents. So please, if you are putting it in, I want you to put this inside, please. You treat your house girl or your house boy well, because when you go to work, although you download this thing you see your children doing, but if you maltreat your house workers, when you go, they will also maltreat your children. You would think they will be teaching them a good thing. They will call them and introduce them into such videos and the rest, and they will even try to practice with them. So please, I'm pleading with you, please kindly add it so that the parents who are into corporate world, who don't get time to talk to their children, when they treat their houseboy, or when they train them well, when they are not there and they've gone out, if they see the children peeping into distance, they can correct them for them. That's my problem.
Thank you so much. Any more? Yes, ma'am. Abigail.
Please, my question is, some parents sometimes, when you have a relationship with your children and your child does something bad, they can sometimes use it against you by insulting you. So with that one, how would the child be able to expose him or herself to the parent? Because when they do that, they end up using that to insult the child. So the child will be afraid to expose him or herself to the parents.
I do understand what you're talking about.
Okay.
Because it does happen. Human beings, that's how we are. That's how we are. Because we like to remind people of the bad things they've done. We claim we have forgiven, but we always bring it back. So I think it's something that nobody really likes. I've learned something that, when you are married and you tell the other partner that this is not how it's supposed to be done, and the person doesn't listen, and it happens that you are correct, you don't say, I told you so. You keep your mouth shut, because then peace reigns and everything is quiet. In the same way, as a parent, you need to behave with your child. If your child does something wrong, or something has happened, and they begin to tell you what has happened, if you correct the issue, don't go back to it. Don't go back to it. It's because of that. That's why the same thing you did the other day, that's why that thing happened. And you are doing it again. No. If you do that, children will never trust you again. You will see they will not come to you again. You just have to let it go and then push on forward with a new behavior that you will reward for being good. If you keep on bringing the old sin over and over again, they will not come again, because nobody likes that. But we are fond of that, especially mothers. We like it. We used to do the insult. And when it doesn't even have anything to do with that thing, and you see that day, they will be moody. It has happened to me before, so I know. You will be moody, because the thing will pain you. Say, I didn't see it. But they have managed to find a way. Sometimes they even bring it to morning devotion. They will bring it to morning devotion and find a quotation to get you more. We don't do that. I say, all things are passed away. Why do you want to bring the same back? So we need as parents to really ensure that we do not use the things or negative things to keep on reminding our children. If the thing is past, it's past. Let's look for reinforcement. This one. So don't do it like this, because we don't want it to go bad. So let's just chart the way forward. And thank you for bringing that on mind.
Thank you. You have You can.
One, that we will have to find a way to stop blaming girls for every bad thing. Because now we are beginning to have a serious challenge. We have child sexual exploitation people who have been arrested. The victims are unable to talk. You know why? Because when a girl is sexually abused, the first thing is to blame the girl. You're a bad girl. What did you go and do there? And meanwhile in Ghana, there's no place which is only the business of boys or men. So what did you go and do there? We need to, as a society, just agree that that which is bad is bad. And it's not because the girl is a bad girl. And so now we are having a problem with having the victims coming to testify against the abusers. When that happens, the abusers will get away. And the next time it will be your child. The next time it will be another girl. The next time it will be another girl. Because all the girls will be blamed. So all the girls cannot talk. We will continue having abusers. Please, you get the picture, please.
Okay, so just a quick statement is to say we can unlearn the ways our parents or grandparents treated us, is to be able to separate issues from the personality. So if you have a problem with your child, don't hit it on them as a person and say, I hate you, or like, I'm not very good with the cheat, I won't try it. I don't like what you did. So instead of saying, I hate you for what you did, you rather carry the issue out. I hate what you did, but I love you. Immediately, you have to be able to tell the person, reinforce that I still care about you, but I don't like what you did. And if we try to separate the person from the behavior that you don't like, it really helps in behavior modification. You see that the person is able to say, well, mommy or daddy doesn't like what I did, but then they still love me. Then the brain captures both information, which is very important.
The last one.
Yeah. I'm Stephen
Okay.
from Ghana National Council of Private Schools. My brother mentioned a tool which is very useful, that is parental control on most gadgets. In my situation, I have children that I have set it up for them, and they hold the gadget for about 3 hours, and it blocks them because that's the time they are supposed to be on it. Now, if there is such a simple tool, which can be found on TVs, on phones, on computers, why is it that as a nation we are not trying to educate as many people as possible to use this simple tool before all these others come in. Because if we're able to enlighten people to activate it, it will help a lot. At least to some extent, children are protected before they come in to educate, because it blocks them from dangerous sites and other things like that. So please, how are we able to get as many parents as possible to be aware of this simple tool and to activate them on their gadgets and on websites? Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I am happy you are from private schools. You give us, you have access to a lot of schools that are in your association or in the group. And the reason why I think this morning we came from different areas is to listen to the information out there and then share it. So please, in your platform, you can just share it with everyone that, have you tried this app? It helps, so that they can start using it. Because if it helps, then they will share it with another parent, from one parent to the other. Most of us belong to a lot of group, classmates group and things like that. Because it's something that when you go to meetings like this, it's good that you just write one or two things that you think will be critical to the group and then share on those platforms so they too can benefit from the experience. So whatever we are learning here, and I'm glad that we are from PTA councils, because it gives us the opportunity to ensure that the issue of child online protection is always on our agenda of our meetings. It's not only about the school fees that parents are not paying. It's not only about the fact that they come to school late, but worrying about their cyber health. Because after all, if they go and do something and an image goes out there, your school name will be mentioned. And where did they go to school? This is Montessori school. Hey, that school, no, I'm not taking my child there. Even though it's not your fault, it will be linked to you. And that's why we are all here, so that you just put these issues on the agenda of everything that you are doing. It can be part of the things you are teaching. Because I know there's now a school digital literacy game that exists. Where are you going to incorporate it into your system when school reopens? Or once you are doing classes on Zoom now, I think it's imperative that at even 30 minutes every day that people are doing Zoom classes, let's have something about online safety. Because as they use the Zoom, the likelihood that somebody will bomb them, because we have it about it, right? Because I heard somebody complain that when they did the Zoom, somebody came in naked. So they have to quickly shut the class down. And they don't know how it happened. So a lot of things can happen online where it's supposed to be safe. That's why you should let your people or your students know that this is the other world. That when there can be a bomb in your Zoom meeting, and you have to know exactly when to leave. It's not that when they are going to open their eyes and watch everything that the person is doing. They have to know quickly that that is not appropriate. So I have to shut it down and go on. So please, we are doing our best. Look at this 1 month celebration, trying to get everybody informed for the next 1 month about cybersecurity. But we are not everywhere. We can't go everywhere. That's why we need you. Please also make it a need in your system. Make it a need in your school. Make it a need in your home. Because if your children are safe and me too are practiced, then we are reaching more people over and over. So that's what I would like to say about that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'll come back to you for your closing remarks, but I'll take you, then Mr. Ajete Suwa, then we can wrap up. Yes, ma'am, you can.
Thank you very much. I'm also coming from the National Council for PTAs. And I want to say this, that on the issue of parents scolding their children, we should always try to highlight their strength and then use their strength to curb their weaknesses. That way, they will feel loved and then cared for. Another issue is that I think we should build capacity for us to educate our young children right from the primary schools to SHS, even universities, for them to know the dangers involved in this kind of cyber security issues. And then again, looking at the senior high schools, you know there is a ban on the use of mobile phones. Another aspect of it is, do we think we should lift that ban? And then if it should be lifted, why and how can we manage our children? Since they need to do some kind of research. And then not forgetting the dangers that comes with the use of mobile phones in schools. Because even though it was banned, some of them still sneak mobile phones to schools. And they use it adversely. Look at what happened during the SHS3 examination. They used it to record a lot of things, and then it became an issue in the country. So I think we should be looking at these areas to help us. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Ajay.
Well, it looks as if today parents have had it. And we thank the panelists. I want to ask this question, that supposing a parent, perchance, goes to see a child surfing, but realizes that the child is surfing in an undesirable area, what kind of attitude should a parent display to the child in terms of correcting the child? And then also, my sister has spoken about capacity building. We really need the National Cybersecurity Center to help us build our capacities, especially at our AGMs. So think of that one too. Thank you.
Definitely. Ojo, you're the last person.
Thank you very much. First, to thank you, Madam Laratu and your team, for something as great as this. I'm Kojo from the Ministry of Education. Just a few comments and one question for you. So the one, it came up with one of our contributors. The simple ways, I'm thinking that there could be simple ways to help parents. For the most apps, we can consider exploiting that. Ima, you spoke about those simple things. Stephen of NACOP said the same thing. I think we should make a conscious effort of, this thing is worrying me. So we should make a conscious effort to get the simple apps, the most used apps. Android, we have Samsungs, Technos. These are the ones that are most used. So the devices itself and the ones that, people go onto a lot. You have your Facebooks and other things. I think we should make just a conscious effort to exploit ways with the do's and don'ts. And I'm thinking, Madam Laratu, working with the MOE, we could come up and do maybe in our local languages. So we have 11 now local languages. Let's make that effort so that there are snippets that a parent who can speak English or not can be able to do that. So that's one. Also, is there any way, MOC, you could also help us prop up action? And I'm thinking it could be reminders, and even we can do fun, the fun-filled way of it. So, for instance, could we have reminders at no charge, to all mobile users? And it can be simple, daily, things. That's it. Simply, if you could click this link, you could activate. If you could do this, you could. And some of them can also be voice activated. And for me, we can even do the parental challenge. And one of the things we've discovered, the digital natives, that is the children, we can do really to help, is to make them their own ambassadors. There's nothing like giving the child that job and say, today you are in charge of the house. They get up at 4 a.m. I mean, I've tried it with my kids. It's unbelievable. So look, when you come home as a parent, in that minute or two, 5 minutes, what happened online today? Tell me. And if there are 2 or 3, then you are lucky. Put one in charge and say, today, what did everybody do online? You'll be amazed at how the kids take up this challenge. So let's find ways of getting those digital natives who are in there to be their own leaders. and their own ambassadors. I think that would be a great way to do it. Now, my question, and it's so important because there's a study now during because of the COVID that people sitting idle could be the most susceptible to all these things happening online. And so it raised now the issue about people living with disability. It's a very big issue we should look at. So my question is, any special provision for persons living with disability, particularly those who are not that mobile? Thank you very much.
Well said, Kojo. Thank you. So I'll come back to my panelists in 30 seconds. Kindly give us your closing points. And I will appreciate it if you can capture some of the in your closing. So, Madam Hilda, I'll start from you.
So I will wrap up by saying that there are a couple of things that UNICEF is doing to ensure that we educate as many people as possible about the dangers or the risk online. One of it is that very soon UNICEF, in collaboration with the Ghana Education Service, will be rolling out the digital literacy program. You know, most of the schools are running IT programs, and so we'll roll out a digital literacy program to ensure that every teacher, every student, every people are aware about the risk online. The second thing is that we have community tools that a lot of the departments, such as Department of Children, Community Development, Social Welfare, are using to engage community people around the risk online. And then, of course, we have our popular Ghanaians Against Child Abuse program, which is also has a component on online risk. And all the intention is to educate as many people and create that awareness. I think that we'll take on board seriously and look at that with the National Cybersecurity Center, how we can translate some of these things into local language. Suffice me to say that most of the facilitators who are engaging people at the community level are using local medium, local language to engage. But we would look at how we can deepen it, even in terms of literacy for persons who can read and understand some of these things. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and I must say I've enjoyed this panel. One of the things that I would like to say and also agree with our last speaker from the Ministry of Education is the issue of the push message from our communication people, because it's critical that those messages keep on coming to us to warn us about dangers. I think I even said that maybe even at the back of what's the name of the scratch cards, we can even have the point of contact numbers there for people to know that any issue you have, report to 292, so that the point of contact become very popular, because now they send so many things that you haven't even requested for to you. How many times will Tigo and will not send you any messages that somebody even is calling you, pick your phone and somebody just speaking? So we need to ensure, how do we take advantage of that? I think it's something that I agree, of course, and I endorse the point about making content available for persons with disability, and especially the children, because they're also a critical group. They also like the selfies a lot, because it's something that sort of validates them, so we need to really look at that. And just ending by saying that the opportunity we have here is a huge one. You see, intense, because I haven't had this interaction with so many people from PTAs like this in my life. Normally, I'm meeting only one PTA, but to have a council of PTAs and a lot of people from group like this is an opportunity. And so the ideas that we have put that are implementable in your area, please take it forward. And then call for backup anytime you think that you need them, so that it will help you build the skills that we require to communicate with parents and children about online protection. Thank you very much.
So, Oxford, my final comment is the internet is here to stay. It has a lot of benefits. Okay, we can't run away from it. And it has risk. Normally, what parents will do is that they do three things. And I call it IM. I mean that they will ignore. Because if you talk to parents who are overwhelmed with the changes, they are tired. They are tired. They can't run it, so they are tired. And anytime I tell parents that if you ignore it, you make the problem bigger. So you are standing on the highway and you close your eyes and cross because the cars are coming, they won't allow you to cross. Then you close your eyes and say you are giving a problem. The second thing you can also do is to avoid it. To avoid the moment, most parents are restricting their children from using the device in the first place. So once you're not using the device, I don't have this headache. And that also tell me that you are restricting them from all the major opportunities your children will be having. Some of them can have art that can open greater doors for them. But by just avoiding them, they won't be able to have those opportunities. The last point is about managing. Okay, so we have to manage. Okay, so we can't avoid, we can't ignore, we can just manage. And we can manage by using all the tools that have been given to us here to go and make better parents with our children. Thank you.
Okay, so in my concluding statement, I think I'd like to address the question raised by Mr. Charles, if I got the name correct. It's usually when we try to modify behavior and you use an aggressive means, what it means is that you may or may not get the desired response you're looking for, but then be rest assured it's going to be temporal. Whatever change that your child would show you would be what mommy and daddy or bigger sisters and brothers wants to see. So they would have a dual personality if you keep using aggressive means to change their behavior. What is very relevant is to use reinforcement. First and foremost, build a trusting relationship and start to dig into the why. The why digging is where most of us really fail because we are too busy, we don't have time, we are so impatient, we are overwhelmed by our own stress, so we just don't have time to dig into the why because it's a lot of work and a lot of effort. But this is where you connect with your child. When you ask, why did you do it and what led you into it, you do the digging with the child by allowing them to come up with the reasons. When they start to validate their own reason, then you know that they are into a problem that they need to be helped out of it. You would find them come into a realization of, I don't even know why I did it. I think I was influenced because my friend said it or somebody said it. Then you know that there's a third party that is influencing your child. Alternatively, you could also be that the child is just curious. Then you take an opportunity to expose them to a similar thing but a healthy one. So that way, digging into the why is very important. You are not using an aggressive means at this point, but then you are allowing a permanent change in behavior because once your child gets to appreciate and understand that this is wrong and not because my mom or my dad said so, but because I think and I believe is wrong, that is when you get a permanent change in behavior. Either in your absence or in your presence, the child knows this is wrong and wrong is wrong. And to finally say that I am really thankful for this opportunity. And each one of us, since we are representing either ourselves or our groups and organizations, should and must be a carrier of whatever we are discussing here today. In your own little corner, starting with our own children at home, with our own younger siblings, we need to replicate this information. The negative information flies very fast, and before we can catch up with it, ourselves need to replicate the positive information and ensure that where there is a negative information, there is a positive message that is coming to counteract that negative information. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I just want to add that one of the main mandates or key responsibilities of the National Cybersecurity Center is to ensure awareness creation and capacity building. And even before COVID, the center was taking invitations and also approaching schools and PTA associations for interactions. We did a couple of schools before COVID, but that opportunity is still there. If you're a PTA, you're a school, even a residents association, and you think you need education in this area, you can reach out to the center and we'll arrange for a team to come and take you through. This is an ongoing conversation. As I said earlier, the space keeps changing. Technology changes by the second. You can't have a size-fits-all solution to this, especially when it also has to do with children who also change as they grow. So the center is open to these invitations. Call on the center anytime, and we'll come to you either physically, if it is appropriate, or virtually to take you through some of these things. On this note, I will thank my panelists You've been a great Lord. Thanks so much for your insightful contributions and the education you've given us here so far. And to participants, we are so grateful for your comments, your contributions. Thank you so much. On behalf of the center, I'd like to thank everyone here today. Thank you for being part of this program. And like I said, this is an ongoing conversation. It shouldn't end here. Let's keep talking and making sure that our children are safe online. Thank you so much.